So today is a heartbreaking day for me. It's Monday, and yesterday was Sunday. I went on a run this morning, and my app that I track my distance on is called Strava. And by default, they name your run, if you happen in the morning, a morning run. What I did is I changed it to a morning run, MOURNING. I'm mourning because of what's happening in our country right now. I'm mourning because, once again, the black community is reminded that there's mistrust of them and fear of them. They have understood this for their whole life, and it goes back all the way to slavery, where they have been mistreated. They've been less than. They couldn't vote because they were not even a full human being. They couldn't live in the suburbs because there were provisions put in place as the suburbs were being built not to allow black people to move in. There's been a lot of marginalization of a people group. And for the longest time, I didn't see it. I didn't see it because it didn't impact me. And I didn't really try to see it. My life was comfortable and it was safe. And I would play armchair quarterback and talk about their issues. And then God began to break my heart. God began to break my heart because what I saw was a different narrative than what I had heard and what I had lived. And when people like Trayvon Martin were shot, when Philando Castile was shot, when Ahmaud Arbery was shot, and now with George Floyd, it's becoming a part of the white zeitgeist, our mind and our thinking. We have started to notice, and it's painful. And I don't know anybody who could see that George Floyd video and not say, man, this is just heartbreaking. And so what I want to talk to you about is inaction, because for the longest time, I haven't said anything. I haven't done anything. I have a platform at our church, and I need to speak out when I see injustice happen. What was Jesus about more than anything? He was about justice. But he was about meeting the poor and the marginalized where they were at and being with them and walking with them. And so, because I didn't have an opportunity to see a different narrative until it was shown to me, that was a privilege of mine. I'm privileged because I didn't have to notice it, because it hasn't touched my life. It hasn't touched my family. When people of color or anybody talks about white privilege, that's just one of the many privileges that I am afforded because I'm white. Edmund Burke said, and I've used this a lot to talk about adoption, but all it takes for evil to prevail in the world is for good men to see injustice and do nothing. That has been my story for a long time. That's been the privilege of inaction. I don't want it to be my story anymore. I want to be about Jesus. I want to be for things that Jesus is for. I want to be with people that Jesus is with. And right now, it's our black brothers and sisters who are hurting and feeling dejected, feeling less than, feeling marginalized and pushed down. And what I want to say is, I hear you and I see you, and what I know is it's not right, and it won't be right until more people will begin to speak out about it. So this is where I'm at. I know that on many news outlets, all that's really being talked about is the looters and the rioters. I don't believe that's the real story here. The deeper story is that there's been hundreds of years of black oppression, and this George Floyd is just the latest example. And so you might be asking, John, how did you get to this place? Well, aside from the fact that I have a black son and I read books like this is Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is a letter that he wrote his son, Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is just a psychologist's perspective on race issues, the new Jim Crow. This is mass incarceration in an age of collaboration. And then this one right here, Raising Black Boys. I've read parts of all those books, but I've listened to countless podcasts, and I will link all those on this video. But I just want to encourage you as a Christ follower to be a listener first, to be a learner first. What I had to understand was that my perspective on life was mine because it was my life that I lived. And so I thought everything was like this life that I lived. And when I started really digging into some of these other things, my perspective was widened to see that other people had a different experience. But I had to listen to what their experience was. And so I want to just invite you to listen. As a Christian and as somebody who holds the gospel near to their heart, be good news to someone today. I love you guys. And this is probably the hardest video that I've had to do. I've really thought about, how do I say what is on my heart? I don't want to offend people. I want to come alongside them and help them to see something differently. And so I hope that has happened for you. I hope that if you have questions about this, you'll reach out to me and let's talk. Let's talk, and I won't judge you, your point of view. I just want to listen. If you're black and if you want to speak to me about how you're feeling, I want to listen. And if you're offended by what I've said, definitely I want to listen, okay? Again, my point of view is just mine. It might be wrong, but this is what I'm feeling. And as a pastor who's leading you guys, I just want to invite you to listen and to lean in and hear. This should not be a political issue at all. It should be a gospel issue where we come alongside the marginalized and the ones who are fearful. So I need to wrap this up. I love you guys, and I hope that as you consider what I've said here today, if you have questions, please reach out to me. All right? Much love, guys.